Alright, Amir, so today for the Great Debaters, we're taking it back, way back, and it goes a little something like this. Amir.
Yes.
Two of the most important albums, not only from the West Coast, and not only for rap, but for gangster rap, of course. We're talking about N.W.A, Outta Compton, Eazy-E, Eazy-Does It. Both these albums came out in 1988. Both of these albums were released on Ruthless Property Records, and both of these albums are phenomenal. So what we're gonna do, now the video's over, just kidding. But what we're gonna do is talk about which one we think is better, because the tricky thing about Eazy-Does It in particular is that Eazy-Does It went gold first, was more popular earlier, and actually for a long time outsold Straight Outta Compton, which had me thinking like, man, like I love Eazy-Does It, and I wanted to talk to Amir about which one he thinks artistically, creatively, and all that type of stuff, which one is actually the better album. Because of course everybody knows Straight Outta Compton because of Fuck the Police, they know Straight Outta Compton's song, and they know, thanks now to the blockbuster film, Straight Outta Compton, that is just so synonymous with N.W.A, with rap. But Eazy-E's Eazy-Does It, you know, it's also a multi-platinum album, and it also had a string of hit singles, and Eazy-E was the first star of N.W.A.
Yeah.
So let's get into it, Amir. So we'll start with Eazy-Does It, man. So this album, I remember the first video I remember seeing from it was We Want Eazy, when he's rapping on the big screen and then breaks out of the jail for his concert to perform. And I remember liking this for so many reasons. One, you know, there's a sprinkling of some white people in the audience and embracing the music, which as a young, very, very young man at the time, showed to me at least that N.W.A was embracing people of all backgrounds, and so was Eazy-E. So I was going to listen to them regardless anyway, but that just made me feel like, oh man, these dudes are down with everybody, and that made a big impact on me with We Want Eazy. So for you, what did you think of that song?
It's great. It gives you the kind of feeling that you're hearing it live, with the cheering, with random people from the audience or whatever asking questions, and it was so funny when Eazy's I don't remember, maybe it was Michelle who asked him the question. Was it her? Okay. Where she's like, why do you wear your pants like that? And he's like, for easy access, baby. I'm like, dude, so funny. And when I heard this, I was in 7th grade, and I just love the comedic elements on this album, and we'll probably talk about this in a second, but Nobody Move especially had a lot of funny aspects on that song.
For being a super gangster song, it definitely had some comedic elements, and
yes.
That ties into, obviously, Boys in the Hood was the first song, and then Radio was released as a single, but with Boys in the Hood and then Radio, I really was very impressed by the fact that Boys in the Hood was this landmark song that launched the gangster side of N.W.A and Eazy-E, but then to come back with Radio, it really impressed me because I loved the cut and paste and the sampling and the people calling in and making it really like it was a radio show or what have you. I just thought that was like very creative and just showed all the sampling and kind of how, you know, Dre and Yella were putting this stuff together in the studio. It was just amazing, man. Yeah, man. And Nasty Ness, shout out to him.
Yeah, yep.
So that was awesome. And then obviously Boys in the Hood being the landmark song that it is. All these songs being on, you know, Eazy-Does It is just, it's just phenomenal to me. But for Nobody Move, that song, I remember thinking, this is like a personal robbery gangster song in a way that took the elements a little deeper probably than we had heard in a lot of rap, because obviously Schoolie D and Ice-T and Boogie Down Productions and Just Ice had already been putting out, you know, hardcore music at the time. But this one, I think because of Dre and the layers they put in the sound effects and all that other stuff, it wasn't just the beat and the raps, you know, it was just so many layers sonically and thematically to Nobody Move. Having Ren on there, it was just crazy.
Well, yeah, and I just love how it didn't have a chorus. Instead, it had just a sample of "Nobody Move, Nobody Get Hurt," and then he interpolated that into the song as well. Basically, you know, at the end, well, you know what time it is, you know, nobody move. And just the whole side thing, when I brought up the comedic aspect of it, was just when he says she pulled her panties down and the bitch had a dick, and I was just like, oh my god. I remember as a teenager when I heard that, I actually showed my sister because I thought it was so funny. She was older than me, and this is when I first started listening to rap, and she told me not to listen to that song again. I was like, oh, I snitched on myself. But, you know, it was just so funny, and Eazy-E with his voice as well just made it even better. But speaking of Nobody Move not being a single on the album, I also liked other songs that are not singles on the album. Well, the whole album, but particularly No More Questions, I thought was just incredible. How it's kind of like an interview, and he's telling stories with the 211 and other parts of the song. I'm just like...
That was a song as an aspiring journalist that I always was like, man, I wish I could have done that song with Eazy-E, but I'm sure they wanted a woman to do it. But
yeah, of course.
Which they did. But shout out to my boy Jay Sands and even Akil from Jurassic 5 for actually putting me on records to fulfill that part of my childhood dream. So thank you both for that. But I still want to do a song where I'm interviewing somebody like that. So hopefully that'll get to be done one day. But I thought it was amazing. It just showed the innovation of what they were doing, and you know, people make out a big deal that Eazy-E wasn't a rapper and all this other stuff, but it's amazing that for not being a rapper, this guy really had he approved and went with all these ideas, whether he created them, Dre, Ice Cube, D.O.C, Ren, it doesn't matter. The bottom line is he agreed to do them, they happened, and then they came out on this record, Eazy-Does It, which to me is phenomenal and easier said than done. Also a single, but you know, I've talked to MC Ren about this, but that has my favorite passage, one of my favorites in rap history, when Eazy's like, yo, I don't do dope, but I'm dope, not a dope, but I'm doper than anybody who tries to cope with the rhyme I'm displaying. Yo, I was like, what? This dude is amazing. I was like, this is incredible. That's one of my favorite passages in a rap song of all time, and that is just crazy to me. And you know, still kicking off that album, talk about comedy. You know, got Ice Cube on there, like as the
with a different voice,
with the heckler, and you know, I think that's a very important thing that Eazy-E brought to, especially to gangster rap, like this comedic element. That, you know, Schoolie D was very tough and hardcore. He had a lot of funny stuff too, and so did Ice-T if you look at it, some of his material. But Eazy-E, I thought, was actually, there were actually genuinely comedic parts to what Eazy-Does It had on it. And I think too, once we get to starting with 100 Miles and Running, I think with N.W.A.'s material in particular, you see that creep into that, and then in the album after that, there's much more of this Eazy-Does It type of vibe with the comedy style and kind of like super hardcore on the one song, but then, you know, comedic elements being sprinkled in or just outright included. And of course, I also loved MC Ren's performance on Eazy-Does It with the Ruthless Villain and you know, Two Hard Mothers, because MC Ren obviously didn't get as much shine in Straight Outta Compton as he should have the film, because being an integral part of N.W.A, being on all the singles, but then also having on the album cuts of Eazy-Does It as well as the album Straight Outta Compton, MC Ren like dominates. Like, he's amazing.
True that, and he wrote a lot of this album. You know, a lot of people always point out the line, Ice Cube writes rhymes that essay in regards to Eazy's lyrics, but MC Ren actually wrote more than Ice Cube did.
Ren is a very prolific writer and very talented and phenomenal writer.
Agreed.
And the other thing about Eazy-Does It that we saw in this time with rap, in particular gangster rap, is that the second half of this album doesn't really have any profanity, if at any. And that was very unusual. Too Short did the same thing, whereas A-sides would have a lot of cussing or the B-side wouldn't, or vice versa. Like Life is Too Short is a prime example of that. If you look at that, the A-side doesn't have any cussing because it's Life is Too Short. I Ain't Trippin', those records, and then the B-side has like cuss words.
And all I was about to say.
City of Dope. So
yeah.
But Eazy-Does It also did that, which I thought was amazing. And then it's just time to break it down. Like these type of songs where it ended the album, very different beats, very different sounds and styles, and like the album from start to finish, it's pretty powerful. But like we said, MC Ren is all over Straight Outta Compton, and so are Ice Cube, Dr. Dre, Eazy-E, and DJ Yella, which is another album that we're going to talk about here to see which one we think is best. Now, the first 3 songs on Straight Outta Compton, I know you like strong openings to albums, Amir, but with Straight Outta Compton, Fuck the Police, and Gangster, to start the album, that's one of the best openings of an album in rap history.
Honestly.
Easily.
I'm trying to run things through my head right now, and what's better than that? I mean, I'm sure there's some that's on par, obviously, but what, off the top of your head, can you name anything better than that? It's gonna be thinking for a while. No, exactly. To start off the album, and I've said this in a previous video, one of our videos, where we're ranking the best verse on the song Straight Outta Compton.
Right.
When you start off an album, Straight Outta Compton, crazy motherfucker named Ice Cube, that's a statement.
Right.
And just that, and Ice Cube's performance on Gangsta, and just everyone's performances on these songs with features like Parental Discretion Advised with the D.O.C. I love how we see N.W.A. on this album together. And what was the first song you heard from this album?
Straight Outta Compton.
That was the first one?
Yeah. Because it was the first song on the album. We just got it because I had known the N.W.A. and the Posse records. I knew Eazy-E Radio, and then I had gotten Eazy-Does It first. So I think we just got the N.W.A. album in Maryland and hadn't seen the Straight Outta Compton video yet. So we just got it, man, and we're like, yo, this is amazing. And I remember, shout out to my boy Sean Craig, we'd be riding around Maryland listening to Straight Outta Compton and Eazy-Does It, but definitely Straight Outta Compton quite a bit when it came out. And I was too young to drive, and Sean thankfully wasn't. So we were able to, get around. I was pretty young. Thankfully, Sean was a couple years older than me, and I think he might have just had his learner permit once or twice. But we'll see what was going on. But anyway, and then obviously Fuck the Police, one of the most famous songs in rap history, very powerful, and unfortunately still relevant today as we see all these incidents that still happen with unarmed and or innocent people getting killed, shot, arrested, incarcerated, etc. So that song is still relevant today. And then Gangster really helped, beyond the first 2 songs, beyond Straight Outta Compton and Fuck the Police, it really just helped identify and define who and what N.W.A. was and was about.
I'm so happy they put Eazy-E on that song too. Oh my god, that was just like incredible. It's one thing I noticed about this album, and it's something that I noticed in the past week, just out of random. Each rapper on this, excluding DJ Yella, Dr. Dre has a solo on here with Express Yourself. Eazy-E has a solo on here. MC Ren has a solo on here, and Ice Cube have a solo on here.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that till earlier this week. I was what the heck? And I know if that had been done in a hip hop group album before. I mean, granted, this was '88, so I don't think so. But that was something, because we had talked about in the Ghetto Boys album debate, where we're like, oh, Willie D had soul songs, Bushwick and Scarface had soul songs, but N.W.A. did in '88, and that's something that kind of hit me. And I don't know why it hit me so late, but they were all just such great songs, every single one of them. So I thought that was really special. Especially, I love the storytelling on I Ain't the One. I thought it was like really funny.
I'm noticing a pattern here. I like those type of songs. What's I got to say, man?
I don't know. They're just great songs.
But speaking of great songs and the storylines, Dope Man is another one. But I guess I knew, to your point you were just making, I knew there were all these solo songs, but I also knew from the different voices and the production and whatever, even though if it's a Ren song, I never, in a way, viewed them as solo songs because I knew Dre was working on it with him, or same with Cube, or if it's an Eazy song, I knew that Yella and Dre at the minimum worked on it. If not, somebody wrote it or co-wrote it or what have you. So I always looked at it, regardless of who was rapping, these were all very collaborative creations from everything I know. But it is interesting that, and then with N.W.A, you got girls on it too. So I just I understand and I know that to be true, but I also kind of had other filters going on with it. But Dope Man, I think, is one of the most powerful songs, and I talk about this in my book, The History of Gangster Rap, when Ice Cube was telling me about when he wrote it, how he really was bemoaning what was going on in the neighborhood because of how drugs were ravaging South Central Los Angeles, where he grew up and lived. And it's a very, very powerful song. And the people that say rap glorifies violence or misogyny or all these different things, I think Dope Man is a prime example during this creative explosion of rap and what I believe is the golden era of the music, which the best year to me is 1988. Yes, I mean, anyone listening to Dope Man, it's clear that that was not an endorsement or a celebration of what was going on with drug use, drug abuse, drug selling, drug sales, and its impact on the community. And something else that I think is an interesting thing about Straight Outta Compton in particular is with Quiet on the Set and Something to Dance To, and in the album, for me, that was very jarring and very incongruous compared to the rest of the album.
Yeah.
Where you had, obviously, Arabian Prince appearance, for one, and he's the sixth member, for those that are unfamiliar, on the album cover. But just that whole, having those songs kind of, Quiet on the Set, not as much, but definitely Something to Dance To. They just definitely seem very weird additions, but this is also something I talk about in my book, The History of Gangster Rap. I talked to Ice Cube and DJ Yella. They talk about that in my book, which kind of explains it artistically as to what was going on, but it just didn't sound right or feel right to me as a listener, even as a young kid that didn't know how the rap business worked or anything. It was just like, with these two songs?
And I agree. When I heard Something to Dance To on there, I was like, it was a song that I definitely was not showing my friends. I actually do like the song, right. But on Straight Outta Compton, it's just so random. It didn't make any sense to me, and now I kind of get it, but still, I wish it wasn't on that one.
All right.
But yeah.
So that being said, it's time to talk about this debate, man. Eazy-Does It is the better album, or Straight Outta Compton is the better album? Which one and why?
Straight Outta Compton for me.
Okay.
Eazy-Does It, as we both know, is amazing. And to me, it's kind of like an N.W.A album because everyone has their hand in it too, and you hear them all throughout the album. But I just love hearing everyone's voices and just everything on Straight Outta Compton even more, and having the solo tracks and just the Fuck the Police and the Gangstas and these things, man. It just brings Straight Outta Compton just above it for me. And Eazy-Does It is very close, but what do you think?
I actually think Eazy-Does It as an album is a better album because of the incongruous end to Straight Outta Compton, and because so much of Eazy-Does It is impacted and includes the N.W.A guys, MC Ren most prominently. But Ice Cube, again, as mentioned, was still talking, and Dre and Yella, obviously, production-wise, so all of them had an integral hand in it. And I just think that the highs on N.W.A, Straight Outta Compton, might be higher, but I think in general, Eazy-Does It is a more consistent album, and I think too, because it had a little more room with the easier said than done's and the no more questions, I think you got a little more of the humor, you got a little more of a comedy, and I think that because of all of that, I think it ends up being a better album by a slim margin. But I do think that Eazy-Does It is a better album, man.
Interesting. We're gonna have to talk after this video even more.
Yeah, but that's what I think, and that's what Amir thinks. I'm riding with Eazy-E. Amir's riding with N.W.A. Hit us up in the comment section and let us know what you think, though. I'm Soren Baker.
Amir Rahimi.
And be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment on the video. Unique access and rapping and snacking, y'all.
Be sure to check out the history of gangster rap by Soren Baker. He's official.
History of Gangster Rap features exclusive interviews with Ice-T, Snoop Dogg, MC Ren, the D.O.C, and dozens of others. The History of Gangster Rap, a definitive look at how Los Angeles changed rap forever.
In Los Angeles, the streets definitely set the tone of the hip-hop music.
At 19, I got a $50,000 car.
My whole angle always was, I'll be street, but I will always tell you the horrors that go along with this life.
There will be penalties and casualties for just wearing the wrong color in somebody's neighborhood.
And once gangster rap made it from the streets to the TV, the genre exploded.
What's that 5 on Yo MTV back with N.W.A?
Yo MTV, it just catapulted us from being local heroes to national gangbang rappers.
The history of gangster rap discusses it all from 1980 up till today.
It's always gonna be shit happening in the streets. You know what I mean? So it's always gonna be something to talk about.
The history of gangster rap in stores now.